All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. So nobody gets more hate than Brendan Schaub online for whatever reason. I've never really understood it. I'm going to theorize on it in this video, but also I'm going to talk about his appearance on the TigerBelly podcast because now I watched that entire thing front to back, read all the comments. Like, I have a very educated opinion on that now too. We're going to talk about it. But I'm going to also talk about Schaub in general and the MMA community's reaction to him, especially. Like, not the community necessarily, but the fans. Well, the community and the fans, actually. Because it's important for me to reframe this conversation, because I had never really looked at this, right? Like, the only reason I even like kind of glanced in the direction of this is because when the Ariel and Schaub thing was going on, and I like just talking shit about this kind of stuff, it was getting a lot of views. So it was like, oh, look at this. If I talk about a Schaub and Ariel beef, lots of people watch it. It's literally like, that's like the level of insight that I'm looking at, right? And I will say, I mean, of course, anyone that's even ancillarily connected to Rogan is kind of on my radar. Like, I obviously know Schaub, and like, I've watched him on Rogan. I had never seen anything from him that gave me any impression that he was anything but a good dude. Especially, like, you know, if you evaluate people like I do, a really simple way to kind of cut through it all, if you're even moderately questioning, you know, whether a person's a good person or not, is look at who their friends are and look at how they feel about them, you know? Because, like, you can get an impression of a person through, like, stuff that gets posted on social media. That happens to me all the time, actually. Like, recently, actually, where, like, I interact with people, like, online or, like, through chats or whatever, and I have this idea of what they're going to be like, and they are, like, the exact, maybe not even the opposite, but just, like, not what I expected. You know, I'm like, man, this guy's intense. You know, this guy's kind of intense. And I meet him in person. I'm like, dude, this guy's completely chill. Like, sometimes people just come off, you know, like, through social media different than they actually are. But, like, generally, if you're just trying to figure out if a person's a good person, look at, like, do they have good friends? Like, do they have good friends? Who are their good friends? Especially if they're a public figure. It's like, who are their good friends and how do they feel about them? And if they're, you know, the friends that they have are people that you think are probably good judges of character, and they have, like, a lot of love for the guy, you know that it's a good dude, man, or a good whoever, girl or guy. Because people who are bad actors don't have close friends that laugh with them, that care about them, whatever. Like, and I always looked at them like, how could all these people, how could this inner circle all love this guy so much, and then the community gives him so much shit? I mean, I never really thought about it that much, but just that was like my kind of look over it, like, you know. But I could say I always thought, like, I don't understand why he gets so much shit online, right? And here's the thing. So if hearing me say that, your instinct is like, Jesse, let me show you some of the things that Schaub has done, you're missing the point, because I haven't gotten to the point yet. But I will. Now, this is actually, I say, Jesus, I fucking laid that out on a platter. Go ahead in the comments. Yeah, man, get to the point. I know, dude. Jeez. But here's the point that I'm going to make about Schaub and why I actually, now that I think about it, take issue with this idea that it's, you know, that it's like fashionable to hate on Schaub, especially, like, you know, especially his comedy, actually. And I realized, like, and this is coming from a person who did a video, you know, kind of lighting him up on his recent comedy special. I will own that. I did that. Now, I did that for two reasons. A, because they had sued, you know, Unique, and I saw that as them bullying a small, you know, like a small channel. I hate bullies. And so that was part of the reason why I did the video. The other one, I just knew it would get a lot of views, but I took it down. And since then, have evaluated this whole thing of like, wow, like, why is it fashionable to hate on this guy so much, right? And here's the thing. The reason that I actually take offense to it now, even though I was guilty of it myself for a second there, is because I am a genuine, like, deep fan of mixed martial arts. And I'm not saying that like, oh, he was a pro fighter, so we got to give him that respect. That's not at all what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the real shit behind the combat sports life, like the life that they live, what they like. And I'm not just saying, like, I'm not like, when I say, oh, look at the life he's living, I'm not talking about like, oh, what's he doing today? I'm talking about the life, their life, the whole thing. Because what fighters are doing when they enter into that life, for the most part, there are obviously exceptions, But what most of them are doing is they are sacrificing their later life for the opportunity to chase real glory in their young years. Like where it's like, look, do you think that you're going to have a really like happy and healthy life when you're 60, 45 even for a lot of them, if you chase this dream and you don't get there? No, probably not. And what do you think the odds are that you get there? Very low. I think I can do it though, and I'm going to chase it. Okay. Like they are gambling with the rest of their life and they all know it. Now, I find that pursuit to be special and worth. I mean, at the end of the day, like my like love for the sport comes from that, like the gravity of that, like the gravity of what these guys are doing in the sport. You know, like they're sacrificing their life for a chance at glory. Okay. It's noble in a way. And it's like the ultimate gamble, but they're betting on themselves. Okay. So that out of the way. So the reality of that situation is that because so few ever really make it, I'm not talking about like make it to a high level in the UFC. I mean, make it to where when they get to the age that they can't fight anymore, which happens to everyone, that they have enough money that they don't really need to worry about what the next chapter of their life is going to look like. It happens to all of them. All of them. Every single fighter. When they get to the age that they're done and they have to like look in the mirror and go, man, it's over. They have to figure out what they're going to do with the rest of their life. And I'm an adult, you know, like I've lived a life. I'm past an age where I would still be fighting, even if I had been a professional fighter. And so as a person that's at, you know, a stage beyond that, I look at fighters, they don't look like superheroes to me. They look like people who have rolled the dice and are chasing it. They're chasing the dream. And I have incredible respect for that. And I have incredible empathy knowing what's coming for them. I know exactly what they're going to face. I know exactly what they're going to face. Because when I was at retirement age, you know, whatever, close to retirement age, is when my life completely fell apart. Like where I'd sold my company. We've gone over this, but if you don't know me, don't know my story, I'd sold my company, was a multimillionaire. And then scandal, stock went to zero, lost all of it. Okay. So went from multimillionaire to bankrupt, like filing bankruptcy, not a fucking dollar. I mean, wouldn't have had a dollar without restructuring. Then I move out to Utah. Don't know anyone. Lose that job. And then my industry disappears. I had no options, fucking none, no options. My entire industry that I'd been a CEO and founder. The industry didn't exist anymore for the most part. And so I had no options. No transferable skills, fucking none. 2 kids, wife, 5 months pregnant. So I faced what all of these fighters face. Now I would have known that this was coming from them inherently anyway, but I faced it myself. Like I did it. I did this. And it was like, it was the worst thing ever. And I'm not even dealing with brain damage. I had a college degree. I had a huge network of people that I knew, which is how I was able to ultimately get my foot in the door in a place that gave me a job that at least put me in a position where I could get back on my feet so I could start building again. You know, these guys don't even have that. They don't have a network like that. They're fighters, dude. They didn't go to, some of them went to college, but like, they're all going to face it. All of them. Every single one of them. And it doesn't go very well for most of them, dude. For most of them, it does not go well. You know, like the back half of life for a professional fighter is not easy for most guys. And so the way I look at it is like, for a former fighter, like a person who rolled the dice and went all the way, like rolled the fucking dice, got to the top of the sport, fought Merkel Crow Cup. Anyway, like, you know, this idea, like, and again, these fucking stupid ass, like I just started looking at like some of the online hate that this guy takes. And it's all so absurd. Like, you know, like montage videos of him getting knocked out. You're like, and then people sharing it and laughing and shit. You're like, bro, that's Travis Brown in his prime. You know, like these guys that he got knocked out by would fuck your mouth and you would have to pretend you liked it, dude. If you got locked in a cage with them, you wouldn't fight. You just suck their fucking cock if they asked you to, and then do their fucking laundry. Like, that's the thing that it's just like, you're not in a position to fucking clown. He got in there and he fought that fucking guy. He got knocked out. He still did it. But anyway, I look at the world differently than they do, obviously. But like, you know, and like the things they pick apart, it's just all nonsense. It's like, it's literally like it, because, and what I'm talking about is this huge Reddit group. Like, there's 70,000 members of this like online Brendan hater group, where if you post something positive about him, they ban you. And by the way, I said this morning. If you have a group that has 70,000 people in it hating on you, you are a fucking superstar. I'm not joking about that. Like, that just means you made it, dude. Because the only reason that people will throw energy at hating on a person is if they're relevant. And if you're relevant and you know how to make money, you're going to be making money. But anyway, I'm talking about people who are in the fight community generally, and I haven't even gotten really to the point yet. But like, he did it. Like, he got all the way there. And then everyone knows, like, of all the people that have had to face the moment where they're done fighting, right? Who's done it more publicly than Schaub? Okay? He goes on Rogan. He thinks it's just going to be a fucking run-of-the-mill trip to, you know, his buddy's podcast. And in front of the entire world, Rogan's like, you're not good enough. You're not going to make it, dude. Like, I don't think you have what it takes. Like, the talk that, like, every coach is afraid to have. You know how many, like, I'm serious about this. You know how many professional fight coaches have had told me this story. Like, I've heard this exact story from many professional fighting coaches, like MMA coaches, jiu-jitsu coaches, whatever, where they tell me about, like, one of their guys that's asking them for advice, and, you know, and they're 35 years old. They're like, you know, 12-12. You know, they got knocked out their last 3 fights. And they're telling me, like, I don't want to, like, tell the guy, like, you got to wrap it up. And the reason it's notable that I've heard that is because I'm like, if they're telling me, that means it's top of mind for them. Okay. Like, we're not talking for 3.5 hours and just getting down. Like, it's top of mind, where it means that that's it's eating at them, dude. Like, you know, it's eating at them. They're like, I got to tell this guy it's over. And you're talking about the guy's coach, the guy's head coach spends all day, and he's like, and it's so much anxiety to even have this. And Schaub has a conversation of that gravity in front of the entire world. You know, I got to be honest. Like, I'm rarely critical of Rogan, but I don't understand why he did that in public. I don't understand that at all. You know, maybe to give, like, Schaub no choice, you know, where if Rogan really believed that he was protecting him, which I believe he was, you know, that's what he thought he was doing. But Schaub finds out at the end of his career is now in front of the entire world. And so all of a sudden, guess what moment he's facing? That moment. What's next, dude? Like, because if you're a professional fighter, and I could promise you that any of them will validate this, you experience life in these segments, you know, where it's like training camp, fight, break, bout agreement, training, fight, break. And how you feel during break and training camp is enormously influenced by the outcome of your previous fight. You're either floating on cloud 9, or you're scared in the dumps. I mean, not everybody does that, you know, but you always can focus on the next fight. Like, the next fight, that's where your focus is, the next fight, right? And I was thinking about this with Michael Johnson last night, and with Shogun and OSP on Saturday. And I was thinking about how hard it must be to train for a fight like that. For a fight where, you know, like, you're not, like I was saying, these guys are chasing the dream. The dream's over now, right? Like, the dream's over. Michael Johnson last night, same thing. The dream's over. You're not going to be the champion. Or, I mean, if you haven't been the champion, like, you're not going to be the champion again, or you're not going to be the champion, you know, in Shogun's case. Now you're just training to just fight this guy, and there's no extra stakes. But more so, it's over. You know it's over. Like, you know this ride is over. It's over. The ride was about the dream. The dream's gone. The ride's over. You got 1 or 2 left of these. It's over. And you know it. And I'm serious. Michael Johnson deserves tremendous credit for fighting the way that he did last night, given that in the back of his heart during training camp like that and during a fight like that, you know it's over. It's the end of the road, and you're still doing it for a little while. That's got to be so fucking hard, man. But when they do get to the end of the road and they're faced with like, what are you going to do? Like, what the fuck are you going to do? And if people like I talk, you know, like Anthony, guys like Anthony, Bisbing, these guys have, you know, they have a gift, you know, they're both really sharp guys and they both get, you know, they're on the microphone. So like they're like kind of much more positioned to do stuff, but they are the rarity, dude. Like people that are like, they're gifted that can just jump onto a podcast or do, you know, commentating and all that. That's, if it seems like a lot of the guys like get that, that's not accurate. It's extremely rare, probably almost as rare as guys who end up retiring with money. Almost. Most guys retire. They have no idea what the fuck they're going to do. You know, maybe they'll do some schools or something, but you check in with a lot of these guys. I mean, seriously, and I don't, not trying to be disrespectful at all. I'm actually, the point of this is the respect I have for the you know, the pursuit. But you check in with most of these guys, you know, age 40 or, you know, call it 50. It's not pretty a lot of the time, most of the time. And so what I look at when I look at Schaub and his comedy now is a former fighter who, instead of just kind of accepting that, like, because he can't fight anymore, now he just is going to like walk around aimlessly like a fucking, you know, like a former samurai warrior that doesn't have a war anymore, and then like end up living underneath the gym and teaching jiu-jitsu class, or whatever other, you know, whatever other outcome is common, you know, I mean, I don't know. He's like, I'm going to roll the dice and I'm going to chase another dream. Like, I'm friends with Rogan. I'm friends with all these guys. I get, like, when I hang out with these guys, Theo and all these guys, like, I can make them laugh. Like, I'm a funny guy in these rooms. I would love to do stand-up comedy. Maybe I'll fucking roll the dice and try to do this. And so, is he an incredible comic? That's not relevant. It's not relevant whether he's an amazing comic or not. My point is, if you're in the MMA community, if you're an MMA community member and you spend time hating on Schaub, now that I've framed it this way, fucking shame on you, dude. Shame on you. It's fucking sacrilege. I'm embarrassed that I hadn't thought about it like this, to be honest with you. You know, like I said, I've never understood why he gets the hate that he does. And now that I've perused through like this online Reddit hater group, I see it's just based on fucking bullshit, to be honest with you. I just cruised through it this morning. The first time I ever looked at it. And I'm looking at it, it's like, you know, because they were actually commenting on this TigerBelly episode we'll talk about in a second. That is, I mean, cut and dry. There's nothing you could pull from that episode that, like, Schaub's the bad guy. Nothing. I watched the entire thing. Nothing. And I watched it objectively. Where it's like, okay, so how, you know, like I can do that very easily. It's like, how are they going to look to everyone? That unless you have your mind absolutely, completely made up and you're like one of these, like, you know, Reddit member, like brainwash people to where nothing that he could do. It's like, it's the same syndrome that I always talk about when I talk about like Republicans and Democrats, where like you have these like Democrats that just call they're like, oh, those right wingers. And then like, no matter what any Republican says, no matter what they say or what they do, they attribute malice to it, where they're like they could literally like donate a kidney to a homeless person. And they, in their mind, they will view that act as some kind of like evil intent, whatever. Like these are bad guys. They are not capable of doing anything noble ever. And it's the same thing in reverse. Same thing in reverse. You know, Republican looks over and it's like a Democrat does whatever. And it's like, no matter what it is, it has to have bad intent. And so unless you had your mind like completely, you know, fully stuck on that side for Schaub going into that conversation, if you didn't have that, then there's nothing that he did, no way he handled himself, no question he asked, no statement that he made that where you'd be like, oh, he's clearly the bad guy here. Nothing. And yet in that, in that Reddit thread, subreddit, which, by the way, like I said, if you say anything positive about him, you get banned. They're picking it apart. Look at him interrupting all the time. Look at blah, blah, dude. Look at just nothing but just like hate. All this and they got all this code language inside words. This is all just about hating on Schaub. And what I'm saying, the reason I'm saying, I think this is important to note is because when large scale bullying goes unchecked, when it goes unchecked, it leaks, right? It leaks out into regular society to where it becomes fashionable to hate on him, right? It's fashionable to hate on Schaub. And you don't really know why. I see lots of I was almost kind of guilty of it, although I thought I was kind of doing something noble, but it's neither here nor there. But you just feel that energy where it's it's kind of fashionable to hate on Schaub. And the reason why it's so easy to fall into that in his case is because I would bet it's actually kind of the same reason where it's this guy cruised out of fighting. He's not supposed to be able to just cruise right into that crew, the fucking crew that, secretly every single person would love to be in. All the guys that are they would love to be in that fucking crew. What are you doing? It's like, hey, what are you doing this weekend? It's oh, I'm going to Theo's with Rogan and fucking, Callan and I don't know, Andrew Schultz or whatever. You'd be like, fuck, that's going to be awesome. You know what I mean? Bang out with a bunch of fucking comics that are all, crushing it. And so I think a lot of it comes from that, where they're just why does he get to just go cruise right into that? He's not, he's not even a fucking good comic, He's not even a fucking good comic. Why does he get to do that shit? I'm going to go 1-star review his shit. Fuck that. It's bro, keep throwing that energy into the world and see what comes back, dude. That I'm telling you right now, that shit is poison, dude. Start throwing gratitude out. Find something to be grateful for. Look at someone and be happy for them. Shit'll start coming into your life. Believe me, I know. But again, what it actually comes down to is it's this Reddit group, this harassment Reddit group that's fucking, dude. They post his kid's school online. They post his kid's school address online. They post his kid's fucking school address online. They'll call his wife. Call his wife and pretend the kids have been in an accident and shit. We're talking fucking sick shit. They call it, they call and get his gigs canceled. They call and get his fucking gigs canceled. They call and get his fucking sponsors taken away. A fucking former fighter, a former UFC fighter in our community who's trying to make a life for himself after fighting, these little fucking weasels are going under and trying to sabotage him and step on his head. That shit should fucking bother you. Fuck those little motherfuckers. They would never do it to his face. They would never do anything to anybody's face. Think about this, dude. Whatever interaction you've had with Schaub, whatever you fucking thing you've watched, whatever. He's one of us, the collective MMA fans, UFC fighters, the fucking entire MMA community. He's obviously one of us, a prominent member of our collective fucking multiple million people group. And you might think he's annoying, you might think he's whatever, but at the end of the day, you're cool with some fucking little shitbag calling and getting one of his fucking sponsors pulled? That doesn't fucking bother you? Take it I don't know. Like I said, dude, when I framed it when I actually really put all the dots together in terms of he's a former fighter, dude. And he's at that inflection point that I always think about. I'm telling you, every fighter, every fight I watch that I think about, it always enters my mind. How close are they to that point? How many, where are they at in in proximity to the inflection point where they're going to have to not be able to do this anymore. And how's that going to affect their mental? You know, I try to like gauge what, you know, how they're going to do. If you love the sport because you love the human condition and you like watching the journey, you need to like, that's a critical component. When are they going to stop and what are they going to do? And so people trying to sabotage that is fucking sacrilege, dude. So that's why it bothers me. It bothers me. Like, I mean, it's anyway. So I'm going to make it fucking unfashionable to hate on Schaub. Myself, I'm going to do that because it's bullshit. It's fucking, they're like black and white. There's no fucking middle ground. I'm not saying you need to like be all, you know, go cheerlead for him or whatever. I'm not even saying, you don't need to, you can even say mean things about him. If like, I'm just talking about don't fucking bandwagon hate on him because it feels like the fashionable thing to do. Like say, you know, like I don't even know if I'm making a good point here. Like I know what I'm saying. I'm not saying you have to like be all, you know, we all have to fucking go to his shows and pom whatever. But just don't contribute to piling it on when the people who are starting the pile are fuckheads that are not even part of our community, that are shitbags that hate him for absolutely no reason. They're evil little online bullies. Fuck those kids, man. That fucking Reddit group, I'd burn it to the fucking ground. Like the shit that I read, I'm just like, this is crazy, dude. Who would dedicate this much energy to like hating on someone you straight up do not know at all? That like there's, you know, like if the guy's the president of the United States, you know, and he like is in your face, he's talking about policy that's going to affect you or, you know, whatever, like then maybe. But even then I'd be like, bro, what, like how, like, is this really affecting your fucking life today or tomorrow? Why don't you go find, you know what my suggestion would be to you, Reddit kid that's hating on whoever? Take the energy that you're allocating towards hating on whoever. Think about what you want to do with your life and allocate the energy that direction. And then if you succeed, or even just while you're, you know, chasing it, because that is the success in and of itself, the pursuit, I promise all of a sudden you're going to be like, why the, look, where was that? Where were those emotions even coming from? And in all honesty, before like without to actually turn this in the direction of like a positive suggestion to people, because this is all stuff that I've experienced myself, instead of just saying, you know, I don't know, negative things about the Reddit group, which is 100% deserved. But what I can tell you is action changes your emotional state and your life. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. So like when I am a 49er fan, right? And for like in between, like I watched, you know, like I watched when I was in college, whatever, but there was this period in my life from like when I was probably around 25 to like maybe 29 or 30, where like I wasn't just like a fan anymore. Like I was a fucking fanatic. Like not like a, you know, not like painting my face and shit, but the amount of time and energy that I spent thinking about like their game coming up that weekend or like who they were playing and like, you know, what our odds were with winning, the emotional impact of them winning versus them losing, you know, like I fucking broken a stool in a bar and shit. Like I was so emotionally invested in the fucking 49ers winning or losing. Is the only sport I cared about, aside from UFC, obviously. And then I started my company, the one that I ended up selling, where I was incredibly passionate about it. Like fucking day and night, all I did is work. And I, you know, I didn't do everything perfect by a long shot. I made a million mistakes, but I was so focused on that project that all of a sudden the 49ers just didn't matter to me anymore. I would miss games and shit. Like legit, like I went from like breaking stools in bars. You know, I smashed a fucking coffee table over a fucking pass interference call. My own coffee table. I smashed it over a pass interference call. Like that's the level of engagement that I had. And I went just like that to like, oh, fuck that. Wait, what time's the game on? They're all, dude, they play at 10. It's 11. It's like, oh shit. Because my passion was focused in another direction, you know, where it was like, what that was for me was I'm wired for fucking combat. Like, that's like, you know, like there's something in me that wants to fucking fight all the time. Like, not like fight, but like I need to like, I don't know how else to describe it. Like, I'm wired for that. Like, wired to like I need a fucking war, you know? Like, I need something that I can like, you know, fucking do. And I didn't have it. I didn't have it then. I didn't have it. You know, this is how I learned this about myself. You know, like, obviously I was like, you know, a tough guy, or like, you know, like, and I trained to fight and stuff, but the way I actually learned this trait about myself was because of this exact story I'm telling you, because just instantaneously, I just didn't care anymore about the Niners, even barely at all. And I was like, what the fuck? How is that even possible? Like, that was such an enormous part of my life. How could I just go from that to this? And that's what it was. It was that, like, with no outlet, it was fucking choking me all the time. Like, I needed to put it somewhere. Like, it wasn't something I could get rid of. It had to go somewhere, dude. Like, it had to go somewhere. And so it was like the 49ers. And it's like, like, I'll fucking put my fist through a fucking coffee table, dude. And then when I found something to focus it towards that was like, you know, something positive, I built a multi-million, you know, like I was this fucking close. This close to it being a many billion-dollar company, because I was a competitor of DraftKings, and they were way ahead of us. They had already raised a ton of funding, and so I was like, "There's no way that I'm going to be able to catch them with pure like funding and marketing dollars. Like, they're flooding the airwaves in every way, marketing dollars." And so I focused all my energy on getting a TV show made about the company and about our effort. And like, I cannot stress this enough. Like, I'm obviously on this journey now to be a creator, and ultimately this is going to be what I do. I mean, I would say most people that watched me when I had 5,000 subscribers could have probably made that bet and felt safe about it. It's inevitable for sure now. But like, you know, when I was doing the show, I cannot stress this enough. 0% of that had to do with me trying to create a name for myself, like to become a social. Like, I didn't even think about like doing like a YouTube channel or any of the stuff that now would have been obvious that if the show, you know, because we got the pilot made, we were like, hey, we're gonna get the green light to go to series next week for fucking 8 months. Like, on the razor's edge every day, I'm expecting to get the phone call, because I knew if the show got on the air, like, the marketing dollars that DraftKings has, irrelevant, dude. Okay? Because first of all, our product is better, significantly better. The experience is better, and people will emotionally attach to the story and me and my journey. And then DraftKings is going to try to compete with that with fucking commercials. Like, hey, bet on DraftKings. Or people will watch the show and they'll be like, God damn, man, this guy's fucking all in on this thing. Like, I will never waver that show gets picked up. We're DraftKings now, and they might still be around, but we would have beat them. We would have beat them because we would have got so much action from the TV show that then I would have gone and raised like $100 million round so that I could, you know, that I could start marketing and actually competing with the marketing dollars. Although, I mean, I probably would have just let them vomit all their money, and I would have tried to do more creative things because they were just, anyway. But I was this close. But then the show, after 8 months of stringing us along, didn't get made. And then the states started making daily fantasy illegal. And that was that. But like, that's when I sold the company, and then it's the whole thing. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, so if you're in this Reddit group, you feel that kind of like technological addiction, you know, where you're like, oh, I wonder what's going on in the Reddit group. And then you find a new Schaub thing, and you're like, oh, and you start, you know, I'm going to comment, fuck these guys, man. Fuck these guys. I mean, under normal circumstance, I would just call you pathetic, but I'm going to now do the other thing. Like, I'm serious. Find something positive to direct your energy towards. Because it turns out you might actually not be the sorry ass that you are today. Because I mean, I don't think there are any exceptions to this. Like a person who spends I mean, I'm not talking about someone who knows of the Reddit group and like goes in there, but someone who's like consistently in there posting, interacting. There are no exceptions to the rule. You're a sorry ass, like a fucking sorry ass. There are no cool people who are in a fucking online hate group that are super engaged and staying caught up on random clips and shit that they can use to hate on a person who's a stranger to them. Like, you're a sorry ass. There's no fucking exceptions. None. Zero. You are a sorry ass. If you're a girl, if your name's Khalyla, as an example, and you're pretending like you weren't in there, you're a sorry ass and a sociopath and a bitch that I would never want to be in the same fucking room as, which it might be inevitable at some point. You might flash those fucking brown eyes at me and, you know, the shit that works with all these other guys. I know what you are. I know exactly what you are. That shit won't work with me. I don't think. I mean, it probably would, actually. Probably would. My wife's way sexier than you anyway. But, you know. Anyway, this is probably a good segue. Now we'll talk about the Bobby Lee thing and the TigerBelly and Schaub going on there. But the key point that I'm making is if you are in the combat sports community and you find yourself with the instincts to like pile on Schaub, you know, write negative comments on his comedy specials or go contribute to this Reddit thing. And you haven't really examined why you're doing it. If it's just feels fashionable or you watch some clips and it feels like you're part of a group, bro, that's group think shit. You should re-examine that because no matter what you think, like, you're stepping on the head of a former fighter who's trying to do something with his life now. Like, that's what you're doing. You're taking the most challenging transition that every fighter faces and you're fucking sabotaging it. Fuck that, dude. Anyway, so the TigerBelly thing, just like a 35-minute intro. But if I'm doing podcasting now, which I am, by the way, then I guess we got to find things to talk about for a long form. This is going to be incredibly, incredibly easy. I am going to be the fucking Leonardo da Vinci of podcasting. Like I heard people like, I've been doing podcasts for however long, I really did, and I'm like, dude, I might, I said, I could just cruise right into, stand-up comedy, and I put that shit at the end of one of my videos, which was obviously a joke. And what it ended up being was just like a 5-minute setup for one funny joke. Stand-up comedy is a whole other thing. Podcasting, here, sit in front of a microphone and talk about shit, make it interesting for as long as you can. Bitch, I am fucking, what's Doogie Howser. I'm the Doogie Howser of fucking podcasting. Born with it, ready to go. That's a weird metaphor I use, Doogie Howser. I don't know. What's a hyper... I'm Goodwill Hunting. There you go. I'm Goodwill Hunting of podcasting. Anyway... But the TigerBelly thing. So I assume anybody who, is listening, is like, oh, let me hear what he thinks about the TigerBelly thing, already knows the basic gist. But the bottom line was this. It's like simple, and I'm going to actually keep it to the only relevant points that matter. Okay? So there was this conflict between Schaub and Khalyla Kuhn, who is married to Bobby Lee. He's a comedian, obviously. He's a small dude where the first time you see Khalyla Kuhn and him together and you're like, wait, they're married? 100 out of 100 people, when they see them together for the first time, you're like, wait, what? Like, a girl that looks like that is not with a dude like that. Like, that's just... There's not, I mean, I'm not being a dick to Bobby Lee. That's just like an objective truth that under normal circumstances, you see 100 girls that look like that, 1,000 girls that look like that. There's one that's with a dude like Bobby, and it's her. And so out of the gate, I think most people see that and they think to themselves, what does that mean? Everyone does that, dude. You see something that's a little bit out of the ordinary and you automatically go, what does that mean? And you might not do it consciously, but you make assumptions. And I think most people's assumptions about that probably sound like this. Damn, that's actually really cool. Like she doesn't care that he's like a short, out of shape comedian. Like, she must really love him for him. Wow, she must be awesome. At least that's kind of what I found myself instinctually doing when I first saw them. But then if you actually, start seeing other weird behavior from a person, then you have to factor that in as well, right? So like if that same person where you're giving them the benefit of the doubt and you're like, wow, they're so genuine that, wow, I mean, like they must just be, better than the rest of us because they don't care about looks, But then you see them start behaving very, very shady or very attention hungry at the expense of other people. With cut and dry, there's no room for interpretation. Definitely prioritized getting attention on themselves over the wishes and very valid concerns of the person who's supposed to be the person whose feelings are the most important to you, which is her husband. So you're like, whoa, okay, so if she just straight up doesn't give a shit what he wants, let's just re-examine this. And then it's like, what do I know about this girl? Not very much. Let me look up some stuff. It's all, oh yeah, so right now she's actually in Hawaii, fucking her side piece, And it turns out while Bobby was in rehab, she was fucking some other guy also, And, they have a open relationship. We'll come back to that if I remember. As a matter of fact, let me write that down because I don't want to forget to go over that open relationship convo, because I want to tell you guys exactly how that conversation went with her and Bobby. I guarantee it. And I've got someone coming over to the house. Look at this. Just a quick break, super quick. What's up, my dude? Hey, I'm recording a podcast upstairs. So if you get here, just come in and hang out, and I'll be done very quickly if I'm still shooting while you get here. Say hi to everyone. Jeff Gum, Navy SEAL business partner, badass, who all of you guys will know very well soon. My co-founder on the Frogmen NFT project and Challenge Coin, which is coming soon. Anyway, I'm sending him a voice memo so you guys won't hear him. Okay, so yeah. So you start to reevaluate there. You're like, oh, so she's fucking other guys. Doesn't seem to really actually care about Bobby. When I see them together interacting, it does seem like they have a connection, obviously. But there's something else going on with her. And then so you got to go back and you're like, maybe it's not just that she's like, loves him for him. She loves him for him. Not because he's a famous comedian and she wants to get attention on herself real bad. So if anybody wants to start a online, hater group about me, that would be a good clip to pull. Listen to this fucking idiot try to sing. I wasn't even trying, dude. Okay? I could sing way better than that. But you'll never find out. Anyway, but she starts to look real suspicious, like where you're just like, there's something off with her. And the genesis of this entire conflict is her and another comedian talking shit about Schaub, like being like, oh yeah, this guy who hit on us, and like, he hit on us, he hit on us, he hit on us. And it's like, hey, Khalyla, I know that, sucking dicks, like, plural is the way you live your life. But Brendan's married and has kids. So, if you're going to say a thing like that and make a thing about it, I would hope that there's a really good reason, because it's a big enough podcast that you're on that obviously his wife is going to hear it. He hit on me. Oh my God, he hit on her. Oh my God, let me rile this other one up. Yeah, he tried to walk me to his truck. Like, what do I get out of this? Like, I'm gonna suck your dick? Or what are you gonna do? You're gonna bend me over the truck? Like, what's in this for me? How am I gonna get off? Like, I'm sitting here like getting all, like I'm like getting all the attention that I've earned with like years and years of practice, like all my comedian fans, and he wants me to like leave that so I can suck his dick in the truck. Yeah, I'm going to guess that you're not very good at that. And that's just my experience with, anyway. I've had a handful of girls suck my dick. It's been a while, and it wasn't Gabrielle, but anyway. You know what? I will say this, though. In my experience, really funny girls are fucking crazy. And I know this because I was always very attracted to them. Like, because like, you know, if they had a good sense of humor and we could go back and forth and like, they thought I was funny and especially if I thought they were funny, like I was always like, ooh. If they were attractive and funny, man, they'd hook me fucking instantly. And like in a different way where like, I wasn't just like, damn, I'm going to fucking pound this out. Like I would always go into it kind of like, damn, like I could do something with this one. Like this could work with this one. And every single time we'd start banging and then like all of a sudden they weren't like jokey anymore when we were hanging out. Like they'd sometimes be funny like out in public, but like not, you know, and then they would go fucking crazy. My number one example is this girl named Jackie, right? She was this little like half Filipino girl. I met her. She was fucking hilarious, dude. First night I met her, she was so funny, dude. Like legit hilarious. She was talking about like, she's telling me a story about how she like humiliated herself. I'll never forget this. Like she humiliated herself because this guy that like invited her over to study, she was like a scientist. Like she had like her master's degree in some kind of like, it didn't make any sense. She was this tiny little hot in shape thing that was partying her balls up, but she was like some kind of like high-end scientist that had got her master's at USC. And she's telling this story about how like she went over to this dude's house that she thought was inviting her over like to fuck her. And she's like, I got like all dolled up. She's like, I went over there with my pussy shaved like a shaved chicken. The way she said it, I literally burst out laughing. And then I was like, man, laughing while thinking about your vagina at the same time. Like I'm incredibly sexually attracted to you. And the first night we didn't hook up because she came with this girl that I was friends with who I had fucked the night before. Like, so like I'd fucked that girl literally the night before. And then she brought Jackie the next day. And I was so attracted to Jackie instantly that I just kind of like stonewalled the other girl. The other girl had fucked my roommate though anyway. So like, I just kind of assumed it's like, okay, yeah, I know like we banged last night, but like, you know, you fucked my roommate. Like, you know, we fucked once, you fucked my roommate a bunch of times. So like, that doesn't like, I'm not being disrespectful if I just overtly hit on this other girl right in front of you the next day. Right. Like that made sense to me at the time. But apparently, you know, it bothered her enough that she, you know, slipped it in with Jackie. Like cause I'm trying to like take Jackie home and she's like, she says that you had sex with her last night. And I was like, I don't know if that's true or not. I think she's just trying to hate on us. She's like, did you? I was like, I did, but I didn't meet you then. Like, I didn't know that I was going to meet my dream girl the next night. She chuckled and laughed, but then didn't bang me the first night. But then I fucked her like the next day or the day after or something like that. But once I got into like actually hanging out, that turned crazy real fast. Like real fast in a way where like, I'm talking like maybe like the 4th or 5th day that we hung out, she was telling me stories about how she had to be coaxed out of her room because she locked herself in her room. Like she got so upset over something that she like locked herself in her room and her parents had to like coax her out of her room. We're talking like a matter of like weeks or some shit. Some crazy ass story that was the red flag the size of your fucking front yard, you know, where it was like, what? I remember hearing it and just being like, of course. Like, of course, my track record remains intact. A girl that I'm attracted to, 100% must be crazy. The first one that wasn't, I married her and she's perfect. But, well, she was crazy, just crazy perfect for me. But, yeah, the way that one ended, this is actually fucking hilarious. I know we're out in outer space, but we're doing podcasts. So, you know, we're just going to talk. The way that one ended, so shit had gotten weird. Like I mean, I consistently fucked this girl for a good like 3-4 months, like consistent, you know, three nights a week. I would hang out with her, and you know, so like she's like trying to drag, like, oh, you know, are we together? But I already knew. I'm like, dude, this chick's crazy. Like she can't be my girlfriend. But she was really hot. She was super fun to bang, like super fun to bang. And but she's pushing, and then she starts getting like clingy, obnoxious, right? Like to the point where it was like, oh my God, like I would have to like dodge her calls and stuff. And it was like Halloween, around Halloween. And I had told her that we could hang out. It was the night before Halloween. I think it was like a Friday night and I was at work and I told her we could hang out. And then she spazzed out about something and like yelled at me. And so I was just like, dude, I got stuff going on tonight. Like, I don't want to hang out. And she got super bent out of shape. And I go home, and then she showed up at my house after I told her not to come in a schoolgirl outfit. Like, because it was Halloween. So, like, she showed up in this, what, in all honesty, under different circumstances, would have been an outfit that I would have taken off her with my fucking teeth or left half of it on while I pulverized her. I mean, like, in all honesty, the way I experienced it, I can't even say like she looked super hot. I know objectively she looked super hot, but she looked like fucking Charlie Manson to me when she showed up. You know what I mean? Because when she showed up in a schoolgirl outfit, I was like, what? I wasn't like, ooh, this solves everything. I've already fucked her 50 times. It's like, you can dress up, you could dress it up however you want. Like, this is a pony I've already ridden enough that I know what the goods are. But like, I told her not to come, and she came anyway and thought just wearing a schoolgirl outfit would solve that. And so when she came in and she tried to like hook up with me, she's drunk and I'm not, and I wouldn't hook up with her and I wouldn't fuck her. And I was like, you need to leave, dude. Like, I'm sorry. Like, this sets a bad precedent. I told you not to come. You can't just show up at my house and think because you're in a sexy outfit that makes shit cool. Like, show up at my house, not gonna work. And she tried everything. Like, when a girl is like, she's lifting the last fig leaf when she just throws every sexual advantage. Like girls think that that's the card they can always play, because under normal circumstances it is. Like, if she did what she did to me that night once she got to my house to literally any other guy on planet Earth that did not know her, married, whatever, 100% of them are fucking her. I'll tell you that fucking straight up. The only person that's not fucking her is the one who's fucked her a million times, and she just showed up at his fucking house, looking crazy, where it's like, no. How about no? That would compound this problem that I have. And so I made her leave, right? And one of the things that I noticed was she always left shit in my car. Always. Like, she always would leave shit in my car. And I told my roommate, I'm like, I think she's doing it on purpose. And so that night when she finally realized I wasn't going to fuck her and she gave up, she's like, well, I need to get my shoes out of your car. Like, she had pretended to leave them there, and she immediately knew exactly where they were. I was like, I fucking knew it, dude. I fucking knew it. Anyway, that's a hell of a sidetrack right there. But yeah, so anyway, that's my long form way of saying that blonde comedian, whatever her name is probably completely fucking crazy. Anywho, so yeah, I mean, like, they're just kind of recklessly playing with the guy's marriage, and Schaub, like, goes to Bobby and is like, hey, dude, do you think you could tell your girl to not, like, intentionally destroy my marriage? Do you think that, like, you could get her to scale it back? And Bobby is, apparently couldn't, because Khalyla doesn't give a fuck about what Bobby says. As we all saw publicly, like, she doesn't care. She doesn't give a fuck about what Bobby says, because I guarantee Bobby went to her and was like, dude, can you not, can you, like, I just can't even, like, I'm going to fast forward and just let you know, like, Khalyla is an incredibly, incredibly, incredibly manipulative person that I trust zero. Like, I don't trust her intentions even a little bit. I think it's her that was on the Reddit. I think that she is the villain of this entire story. And I'll put more context to that, because if you're still listening, I would imagine that at this point you probably respect my ability to judge things, because I have very good ability to judge these things. So she disregards what he asked, and she just keeps talking and keeps talking and keeps talking. And then to the point where Schaub has to go around and straight up like make kind of like threats, where it's like, stop doing, like, you're threatening my marriage. I don't really understand exactly what their conversation was something about like, dude, stop talking about this. Like, just stop it. That Schaub hit on her 7 years ago, 7 fucking years ago. So it's a ridiculous conversation to even be having in the first place. But of course, I said Khalyla's manipulative and you shouldn't trust her. I didn't say that she's not smart. And I hate saying that. I don't like giving credit to manipulate. Like, because when I say smart, what I mean is smart at manipulating people. Like, smart at knowing how to position things in a way that will be manipulative and get the outcome that they want. And I don't like calling people like that smart, because it sounds like a compliment, and I don't mean it as a compliment. Like, I certainly do not mean it as a compliment in this. Like, I mean, I respect the ability for people to influence other people, but if you're doing it purely as a vehicle to gratify yourself, both in attention or sex or whatever, at the expense of others, yeah, I don't have any respect for that. You know, influencing other people is a strong trait to have, but the reasons that you do things is always extremely important. And Khalyla, no one is going to convince me that she does most things that are like, or at least the things all I've seen of her is all around this situation. And in this situation, she's displayed terrible tendencies. I mean, not terrible, just I see exactly what she is. I know exactly what she is. She is good at it though, dude. And I'll tell you where you can see it. It's the way that she uses sex in interactions with guys, because it's super, super subtle. Like, because she's not playing it up. It looks like the way that she does it, it looks like it's not even intentional. Like, sex is so not a big deal to her that she just said this little thing, like this little comment, you know? And it's impressive. It is. But what that shows is a lifetime of mastery over manipulation. Because girls figure out that they can use the sex weapon against dudes when they're very young. By the time they're her age, I mean, if they're a manipulative person, they'll use it like a scalpel anytime they want. But anyway, so ultimately they find out, right? Like, so Brendan and them, they got all this kind of nonsense, but this is all just like random shit, you know, like, oh, did he hit on you or did you not? Wait, why are you talking about this on podcast? This is like kind of dumb, like not worth anyone's real attention shit, right? Except then they find out that this online Reddit group that is harassing Brendan in the way that we talked about, calling his family, trying to get his job taken away, or his gigs taken away, like attacking his sponsors, psycho shit. Not a small deal, not just people making fun of him online. We're not talking like Unique making YouTube videos, you know, like anything that you hear about Schaub and his team doing, if it feels out of place, I promise you it's connected to the Reddit group there's something connected to the Reddit group that you won't know about. Like, as an example, Unique connected to the Reddit group. Okay. Now I can't confirm what his involvement is, but like, you have to see everything that happens on the outside with the backdrop of this insane harassment campaign going on behind it. Because it's like, it quickly goes from Brendan being this huge, successful, whatever, taking out a small YouTube channel, to Brendan being the victim of an incredibly large, coordinated harassment campaign that goes way beyond, like, you know, the stuff I was talking about earlier about it being fashionable to hate on Schaub. This goes fucking way beyond that. This is shit that no one should think is okay. No one. Like, no one who's even moderately sane should be down with that shit. And if you're in that group, you should fucking get out. You know, they're fucking weirdo creeps, dude. But, you know, like out of bounds shit, dude. Hey, Colby had it coming. Colby had it coming. He mentioned his kids. All right, so what do you think about Schaub? No, he's fucking... Okay. Well, that fucking Reddit group fucking called his wife and told her that the kids were in an accident. Okay? And that's just one example. They call the parents, they call the mom, call the dad, you know, call this, like, Colby said something into a microphone hyping a fight. If you think that's out of bounds, then you should want to fucking find out who these guys are and make an example of them by dragging them behind your truck down the street. But so everything has that backdrop behind it. And so if Schaub's team finds out, which Schaub shared on the TigerBelly podcast, that Bobby Lee's email is connected to one of the main accounts that has been moderating the group, moderating this fucking hater group. And they connected the IP address there too. Like, they've got him dead to rights. Bobby Lee email, validated. And anyway, I'm not 100% sure if I can say this other part about it, so I won't. But there's behavior that they did. You know what? I am 99% sure that I heard Schaub say this on the TigerBelly. I'm going to take a chance here, and I apologize, Schaub, or the team, if you hear this, and I wasn't supposed to say this, but I'm 99% sure I heard Schaub say this on the account or on the show. But they went to Bobby and Khalyla and said, we've connected you to this Reddit group. Like, we've connected this Reddit, account to you guys. Didn't tell them how they knew. And the next day, that account switched the email. Okay? So they go, we've got you. Like, we've got information. We know it's you. Like, we know it's you. Didn't tell them how. And I think it might have even been that day. That day, the account in question switched the email on the account. You know what that is? That's a fucking headshot. That's a headshot. You're caught. Like, smoked, caught. Your best case scenario at this point is I told my whole team about this. I asked them, so whoever did it must have been them. But the idea that it's someone that's outside of your group, no. Headshot. That's a wrap for you. And so the idea that it's not them, you guys, like I watch this, like I see Schaub and Callan being nice about this and they're trying to avoid conflict. But I call the channel Jesse on fire, dude. It's not because I'm afraid of saying what I think. That's a fucking headshot. Anyone who looks at this knows it's you. Okay? So, like, if you think you're the fucking good guys because you told story trying to break the guy's marriage up, or let's say it was inadvertently potentially breaking up his marriage, and you didn't like that fucking, I don't even know what, like, because the way that he asked you to stop talking about it, you didn't like that, and so you escalated. And so you instigated the entire fucking thing. And then when they look into you, you've been moderating a 70,000 person online harassment campaign against the guy. You want to know how else I know? I knew it was her before I found out about the headshot, because I watched the TigerBelly episode, and in every single example, 100% of them, without exception, every time that they were that Schaub wouldn't let them off the hook and kept bringing up, we know it's you in the Reddit group, she deflected literally 100 out of 100 times. Like, did not ask one question that an innocent person would have asked. It behaved exactly as a manipulative, guilty person would, which was reframe the conversation, try to distract, lengthen out the thing that we're going to talk about now, try to get through this hour without having to address the fact that I'm fucking smoked and caught, that I'm a online harassment bully psychopath. You know what kind of fucking psycho a girl has to be doing that? To be like in a fucking online hate group about some dude she barely knows? I fucking dare you to stick your dick in that fucking psycho. So yeah, so when she bats her eyes at me, I would be like, you know what she would look like? The fucking schoolgirl. So go ahead and bat him at me, Khalyla. You look like a fucking schoolgirl that just showed up at my house after I told you not to come over. And you could try you could fucking take your panties off and bend over my fucking TV. And guess who's getting fucked tonight? You, when I throw you out and you don't have a ride. So, her behavior was a giveaway. Then when you factor in the switched email, there's smoke, dude. It's her. It's her. Or at best, it's someone on her team and she's covering for them. But that seems incredibly unlikely to me, given how anxious she was to talk about it on H3. She tipped her hand. She thinks she's super fucking smooth, dude. She has a very inflated opinion of her ability to mask what she actually is. Plain and simple, dude. On the H3 podcast, she tipped her hand because she got so excited to talk about this again. Her eyes got this big. She steamrolled Bobby. It's like, oh, oops. Oopsie. Guess what? Now any smart person knows that you're the one driving this conversation. You tipped your hand. You can't take it back now. No backsies. It's written in pen. It's you. And then the next episode where you think that you're going to get Brendan in the hot seat, you tipped your hand again because you completely changed your entire demeanor. You know, before like, oh yeah, I'm so excited to talk about this. Now you're the, you know, Brendan. Now you're talking like a fucking therapist. Like you're the therapist. You're the wise girl in the room who's going to just educate everybody on what happened. Except every time that a direct question is asked to you about by far the largest crime associated with this entire conflict, you not only don't answer it, you completely move the conversation or behave defensively or act like a victim every single time. So the therapy voice didn't work. Bringing Brendan on didn't work. Going on H3 didn't work. You're the bad guy. And anybody who's smart knows it. I went on the TigerBelly episode and looked at the comments. 90%. Dude, you go on anything that has to do with Schaub online, and if the positive outweigh the negative, then that's abnormal. And the only reason for that is not because Schaub's stuff is actually like that terrible or fucking whatever. It's because there's a 70,000 person harassment campaign going on all the time. And so they does everything like, oh, his new thing came out. Everyone go give it 1 star. It's just targeted bullying and harassment. And there's enough of these little weasels that they have a loud voice. They're like the woke mob on Twitter, dude. There's not a lot of them, but somehow Leah Thomas is still racing against fucking girls in swimming, you know? And so if the comments supporting Schaub outweigh the negative 9-1, that means you are smoked, bitch. Everyone knows what you are. You know? Finding out that you're fucking other people while Bobby's in rehab didn't really help your cause either. She's a vacuous, attention-hungry, narcissistic sociopath. That's a mouthful. I don't like saying all that stuff about people because I think it's just too labely. She's exactly what I've explained, though. Like, you know, take away the labels. I mean, that TigerBelly episode was very telling. I do believe 100% that, well, let's say I believe 90% that Bobby doesn't know anything about it. I talked to someone else whose opinion I respect immensely in terms of being able to read people. And, you know, like especially the part where Bobby's all, dude, if it's someone on my team, I'll literally let you fuck me. And I know that he's like, you know, made jokes about that stuff before. But he sounded very confident. Like if I was playing poker against him and he pushed all of his chips in and then did that, like I would fold. I mean, I would call Khalyla no matter what she did. Her bluff, not buying it. Not even a little bit. And it looks like everyone in the comments could figure her out too. But he thought, he's like, dude, he's like, you just never know. He's like, Bobby does seem like the kind of guy that might like be behind the scenes and like kind of like, you know, quietly did. I don't know. I still don't think Bobby did it, though. I think he's trapped with a bad girl. A bad girl who's already fucking other guy. I mean, I guess that should make it kind of easy for you to clip her, dude. That's usually the biggest, you know, hump to get over is like imagining your girl fucking other guys. And so it's like, well, fuck, she's already fucking other guys. So I would, listen, I've literally never said this, I don't think, and been serious. But you should divorce your wife. You should leave her alone, dude. Like, let her go, dude. She is no good. Just kidding, Khalyla. Just kidding. I was just kidding. Just kidding. I thought you handled yourself really well. Said no one ever. Who's objective? Anyway, so this is my first podcast episode. Probably the best fucking episode of any podcast you've ever listened to. Just kidding. But not really. Anyway, love you guys. Peace.